Hi everyone, so earlier this night we have tried out the Mundunugu Witch Doctor in GR150 format. This is a build that came around in season 20 with the introduction of this new set. It was very powerful back then and was blasting through 150s, no problem. And now we have the soul shards that buff it a lot to probably even higher values, and there was a nerf to the set in between. In case you don't know how the build works, just in short a few details, it is one of the most complicated builds in the game. But essentially you have these 3 phantasms that you can cast here on the ground, and they will accumulate damage. They will not deal damage, but rather they just like remember a value that it would have done, and then when they time out or when you replace them, they will explode for all the accumulated damage from their whole lifetime all at once. So the idea is you make a large pool, you have many targets in this AoE, and then you pop them at the right moment, right after your cold convention cycle, and essentially you can completely annihilate large pools, but you have no single target damage. So this is how this build works. So we learned that this build actually works with the Dregs of Lies. So first of all, they get a 50% flat multiplier, and they also stack up this up to 100% extra damage as well. So this is a pretty massive boost here from this shard in the weapon, and also the Shard of Hatred in the helm that gives you 150% extra damage is just completely nuts for this build. So you are like the big AoE DPS, and then you have like a Rift Guardian killer or something like an Inner Monk for the trash and the elites that are left over. So this is actually a pretty good combo. We specifically actually didn't let the Inner Monk do anything for those runs because we wanted to see those pops and see how much damage we can do with just the Witch Doctor alone. But there is definitely some potential there to make a combo between those two. It's probably not really outperforming double Inner, but it is giving you an option to play a Witch Doctor in party in case you really want to play a Witch Doctor, since this is a Witch Doctor rework season. And there's Arak here, and there's lots of hype with the Lakumba rework and the Shukrani being really cool. And Mundunugu definitely fits in there in 150s. At probably a little bit less efficiency, but really not bad. With my 2.5k paragons and having essentially no practice playing this build in like the last 1.5 years or so, I was able to annihilate GR150 elites in one pop sometimes. Even yellow packs I was almost one-shotting, even on rather small pulls. So something of like 30-40 targets or so, if you execute it well, are probably enough to completely kill a yellow from 100 to 0 with this. So this is definitely extremely good. So for all those Witch Doctor mains out there, I gotta say you have to dust off that set and brush up your Phantasm skills, because this can be really fun and definitely a decent alternative to the inner meta that we are most likely going to see. Obviously, I gotta say that this is not super consistent. It requires rather large pulls to work well. So this depends a bit on monster type, how well you can stack them, how many there are, and what map you're running. So obviously this is a bit of a downside there, but in pushing you can just run in and blast down stuff. And if you want to get a good time on the 150 format, then this could actually be a quite easy way to do that. On the other hand, you're gonna bring probably at least one Inner Monk into the party anyway, and that will give you a little bit of a safety net against any kind of bad RNG, because that one can also just blast down whatever you find, even if the Witch Doctor is not able to on a small pull. So that's actually pretty neat. Considering how easy it is to perform roughly equally well on an Inner Monk, I don't really see that many people doing this Mundunugu Witch Doctor, but it's definitely a fun alternative, and for the Witch Doctor mains, something that they can think about at least. Personally, I really like Mundunugu Witch Doctor, and I will most likely play some Witch Doctor next season because of the Arak rework. I really want to try that out in full detail and push it, and probably go with some other sets along the way. And this might also be something for me to do. I think that overall Mundunugu is in a good spot, but I think especially this extremely weak single target damage that the build has could be improved in the future in some ways by the devs. Maybe by giving the Phantasm like a huge bonus, or maybe something where the Phantasm can maybe stack up on targets over time to kind of like a little bit like a stricken deal more damage over time when you have only a few targets, so they can kind of finish off elites and the Rift Guardian, because most of the time when you go with this really high tiers in solo, you will fight the Rift Guardian for like 7 minutes or something. It's gonna be terrible trying to push us in solo, and this has essentially always been the case and barely improved over time. So this is definitely an issue that should be addressed in the future, but for now it works, it is strong. It got a nice buff from this Lakumba change that made the build much more tanky, because you didn't have the Sacred House to begin with in groups, and it's just overall solid, I would say. Funny enough, you could actually pair this with an Arikir Witch Doctor as the Rift Guardian killer, and potentially kind of elite killer as well, because they actually kill Rift Guardians in 150 very quickly too. So it would be really hilarious to see a double Witch Doctor DPS combo, and just do this as like a fun little challenge perhaps. You have this one build with the insane AoE, we have the other one with the insane Rift Guardian killing ability. So actually quite funny to see that this synergizes so well. In any case, I hope you enjoyed my little video here, and I'll see you guys next time.